You ever wonder why it's easy to get pulled off track with your marketing? It's because we're often focusing on the marketing tactics without having been intentional about creating a marketing campaign that supports our marketing strategy. Hi, everyone. Today, we're finishing out this series on marketing strategy by translating that big picture strategy into designing that 30 to 90 day plan. And with that, we can now break it further down into manageable weekly tasks and tactics, because this is what we will use when understanding if our campaign was successful or not. My name is Max, and I'm the founder, copywriter, and all-around messaging magician behind Max Wild Stories. I help online entrepreneurs tell stories that allow them to grow their business with empathy while transforming lives and creating social change. I do this because the stories we share give permission for others to do the same. Your marketing strategy is going to be a living document that you will return to a lot. But one thing I think is important to start with is some of those evergreen, basic underpinnings. What's your brand story? What's your message? What's your tagline? Your positioning? What's your vision for the future? What are your values, and how do you weave that into your copy and your marketing practices? These are things that are probably not going to change. And if they do, it will be very rarely. And that helps everything to come afterwards. I'd also suggest a section on your ideal audience. We need to understand, what are the segments of our audience? What are their frustrations? What are their challenges? What do those symptoms look like? What are the barriers from them achieving what they want, both personal and systemic? How do they describe the problem you solve if you've had interviews with them, or if you've done more research on that? Again, that's going to be a later video. Where do they want to be? How does that look for them on both a tangible and an emotional level? In this, I try to paint as specific of a picture as I can. Both of these things are going to form the foundation of your copywriting, and this is all assets you can continue to use and to build upon. And then after, that's when I look into the immediate strategy, the stuff that is more refined. What are your goals for your marketing? Are you a service provider and you want your marketing to result in more one-on-one clients? Are you about to launch a digital product or a course, and so you're more focused on building your email list? This is going to change depending on the offer that you have or the campaign, as we'll go into deeper. But often with those offerings, we'll have one core offer that's our bread and butter. So I would just try to use that as the baseline. The other part is, how will you measure success? For email list, that's fairly self-explanatory. It's people who sign up. But there's other ways to measure success. Is it traffic to your website? Is it discovery calls booked? Is it just straight people who are buying your digital product? There's different metrics to look at. I say marketing campaign, but there's a lot of different words for what is basically the same thing. You might hear it called marketing initiative. You might, especially in the online space, you might hear it called the launch. They're all really similar, but in essence, it's a short-term push and promotion with a very specific goal in mind. And it's often in regards to promoting and offering a product or service. At the end of the day, we are trying to build an audience, but effective marketing also leads to sales. As a general rule of thumb, you only want to be actively promoting one offering at a time. And thinking through your immediate marketing strategy, what are you going to promote this quarter? How can the free content that you are building lead to that? Another aspect of that is, with marketing campaigns, we're looking at like the format of content: written, video, audio. What channel will it go on? And then the tactics that will be the focus of the campaign. Examples of this would be, are you doubling down on your YouTube channel and really focusing on growing that? Are you going to do maybe some live workshops? Are you going to do a 5-day challenge? Maybe you're really going to focus on pitching podcasts and your visibility. Have you created a new opt-in that you're going to try to promote? I find that I will fail at this when I'm trying to group too many things into focus. Oh, I'm going to do podcasting. I'm going to launch a podcast and I'm going to do a challenge. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do something else. I feel like reasonably, like we can do one, maybe two things. Maybe you're pitching podcasts and you have a live workshop. Maybe the podcasts are going to lead to the workshop. You can pick maybe two things. I think if you're going to do it in that way of having two, have one that's your own internal content, right? Like your YouTube channel, doing live streams, podcast, and one that's maybe a little bit more external in approach, meaning that it's going to be more front facing, networking, visibility. Maybe you're going after partnerships. Maybe you're just doing more direct outreach to people. These both can add to a healthy marketing growth plan, right? Because it's both outbound, meaning we're going out, and then there's also inbound. I'm making content and people are coming to it. So the tactics themselves are going to support that strategic campaign, because once you figure out how you're going to spend the most time and what strategies we're going to be using, it becomes a lot more simpler to decide what tasks that we're either going to do on a daily basis or a weekly basis that will support that focus and help us hit our goals. So I'm going to credit Claire Crum of Calm Ops for this insight. She did a strategic planning workshop for Global Entrepreneurship Week in November, and she had this great way for us all to really reframe how we can approach this more strategically. In the workshop, she suggested that you take one sheet of paper and fold it in half. On one side of the sheet of paper, write what you were successful at this year, all the different accomplishments. Then on the other side, you write what tasks that you do regularly, and then you take both sides and then you basically connect what task led to which success. And if it's a task that isn't connected to anything, those are ones that we should either minimize or we should delegate. I think this is such a good idea to think about. And it also goes hand in hand with marketing, right? What marketing tasks will lead to success? If you are measuring success on podcast interviews that you land, then the task is going to be you're going to have to pitch to podcasts to get on them. I know that PR is often considered part of marketing for this, especially for solopreneurs. It's okay to group them together in this way. I measure my success and how many coffee chats that I schedule, not sales calls, not discovery calls, just people that I connect with. And for me to have those coffee chats, the task that really ends up happening is I have to attend networking events face to face. And from that is where I build these connections, and then we go have coffee. So that is another way to look at it. I often see this with my own clients, right? We're often doing tasks. Some of the ones we do the most often actually aren't the ones supporting or leading to our goals. Another concept that I think is helpful with this is the leading and lagging indicators. It comes from the 4 Degrees of Execution. It's a book. When we're tracking success by using revenue, number of clients, or sales, it's called a lagging metric because we're measuring too late. We really can't affect those things anymore. They've already happened. We don't have any immediate control on if someone decides to make a purchase with us. And this framework has found that's much more effective to track what's called leading indicators. So these are the actions that we take and can control in like real time. And they are often predictive of those lagging. It keeps you constantly accountable when you're looking at it. What am I doing each week that's going to support that? And what's great about marketing campaigns, right, is that we're all continually learning from what we do. When you think through the leading indicators that you want to use for your marketing strategy this quarter or this year, you can set it up to track that either through project management. You can use an analog calendar. In fact, I'll just pull this out because it's right next to me. I don't know if you can see it fairly well. So I use an analog one because I have ADHD, and if I do not write something down, like physically write it down, it does not exist to me. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Just do what works for you. I do sometimes use spreadsheets as well for this. That weekly accountability is super important because it's easy for us to use our time in the ways we didn't intend. That is literally just part of working for yourself. When you're tracking it weekly, the accountability is there, but we can continue to refine what worked for you or got it done more efficiently this time. It'll let you look back. When I talked about a yearly review in the earlier video of marketing strategy, Being able to track that lets you be able to review yourself on a quarterly basis, or if you just did a launch, you can actually see what you did and what worked and how it was successful and how it connected to the results that you got. It lets you figure out what to do differently next time. Maybe something fell flat. That happens. That's part of owning a business. Things will not land the way you expect them to. Having this data also beats shiny object syndrome. I would wait minimum 30 days, maybe even just in the 90 days when you look at it quarterly, but does it make sense to shift to another strategy or tactic? Sometimes what you're doing isn't working. When we track the time weekly, it holds us accountable to the marketing campaign, to the container that we're using to judge our success. I say that this also helps with shiny object syndrome, because if you have a marketing campaign, there's also an end point. So just because you're using a tactic right now does not mean that you're married to that tactic. Marketing is all about us having enough data to make better decisions. So at a minimum, I would wait 30 days, maybe even every 90 days, and look at some of these base tactics and see if they're still working for you. And change as necessary. So you're holding yourself to what? A minimum of 30 days. I'm going to try videos. I'm going to try apps or live streams for 30 days. And then you can revisit and see if it still feels good for you. So for example, this is back in 2018. And one of our previous iterations of my business, I was doing weekly Facebook Lives. So I did this for 12 weeks. And I realized that it just wasn't translating to paid clients. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't something that I was like super passionate about. So I dropped doing it. I just felt like I'm not going to continue to put all of this time into something that wasn't working for me in my business. So if it's something that you're prone to shiny object syndrome and changing your strategy or changing your tactics every couple of weeks, this can also give you that permission to try something new, but while also ensuring, that you're keeping at it for at least 3 months, because to collect enough information, whether this is something that it's worthwhile for you to continue. All right, if you liked this video, I do plan to release more videos on marketing, including the messaging, the storytelling, and planning out your content strategy. So please subscribe my channel for more videos that will help you grow your creator business without you feeling overwhelmed. Thank you for watching, and remember, the world needs what you have to say.